Welcome back to the Laylalu Podcast. And today is going to be very different. I have no idea what episode we are today, but we're going to be, you know, chatting in my new house with my new whatever this is. I forget the names of things right now because my mind is blanking, and a microphone that does not work because we've had some technical difficulties today. And I decided to take a small break because I was truly getting annoyed. And we're going to be talking about all these things. We'll get to there, but let's have our classic drink here today. It's been a while since I did that. So, let's get into it. I decided to do some podcasts in between the interviewed podcasts with my guests so that we can catch up. Me and you, us friends, us amigos, amigas. So I decided to put a key points. I always have key points in case you guys are wondering, oh, how does she have all this shit memorized? I don't. I try my best, and then we roll with it. We do these things, but it is what it is. So what's new in life? So as you guys know that from all the previous podcasts that I was recording before, maybe you guys don't, I don't know. I think I mentioned it briefly when I rebranded the podcast, but I was at my brother David's house. So I was there for about 2 months, and I was apart from my partner for 2 months. So a bunch of different challenges came up in our relationship, of course, because we're kind of like almost like forced to deal with long distance in a sense. We didn't ask for it, but the universe was like, here, let's see this new obstacle. And we're going to be talking about lots of obstacles today. We're going to be talking about the obstacles of different phases in relationships, especially even when you live together, and different things like the honeymoon stage and all that jazz. Because here in this podcast, we talk about so many different things. We talk about mind, we talk about wellness, we talk about the carnivore diet, we talk about arthritis, we talk about sexology, all types of different things for those new people watching there. And I'm trying my best to stay active. Last week we didn't have a podcast because I was, up in the air and getting my shit together routine-wise. But this week we're back. See, I didn't leave you guys. I'm still here and I'm still going strong, and we still have a shit ton of guests coming on the next few episodes. So I'm really excited to share with you guys these things. So what's new? What's new in life? What's new with you? I want to hear. Let me know in the comments below. But yes, what's new with me is that we moved into this place in April. And for those of you guys that know, I used to live in Toronto before, so my life really changed in November, because it's literally, you know how I like, for those of you guys that know me, or those of you guys that even know me online, know that I am pretty, what's that word? Impulsive is the word. Impulsive. I make these decisions and then I never regret them, but I always realize how drastic and different they are from one another. It's never like something that's like, oh, this is a small step. It's always big steps, big leaps, big risks, and stuff like that. Maybe there's something psychological there of the nature. Who knows? One day I'll figure it out when I'm finish with the studyings of psychology, but you never finish the studyings of psychology because that's life in general. But yeah, so I moved from Toronto and I had all my friends there, all my family there. But even my family, like I was seeing mostly my grandma and my dad, and I hadn't seen my mom in years because she was in Brazil. Hadn't seen my sister in years because she's in Brazil. Didn't see my brother from my dad's side that much. And then from my other dad, it's a very complicated family tree. One day we'll get to that. I would see him here and there. But yeah, I decided, I was just like, I'm getting tired of the city life. And I found a partner who I want to kind of, settle down with. And there's never a moment in life where you know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, whatever. There's signs, there's things that help guide us, but there's never a right moment for anything. The right moment is you make it the right moment. Just like I personally believe as well that there's no like one soulmate, there's no one true love. Maybe you guys can leave some comments below and change my mind about that. I'm open to having that change, but I think that you pick your soulmate. You pick the person that you want to be with, and you work with that. That even your soulmate and your love of your life, or whatever they are supposed to be, are never going to be perfect, because we're human beings and we make mistakes and we have our flaws, and none of us are perfect. There's lots of things. And I'm working through things in my personal relationship, as everybody is, and not just with my partner, but with family and with friends and all of this stuff. And like, I think there are, of course it had to like cut there, but as I was saying, I think there are some things that our family members, our lovers, our partners, whatever it is, bring out of us that have to make us deal with uncomfortable parts of ourselves that we're not ready to deal with. Yes, welcome to the podcast. We start talking about deep things right away. But it's true. I have been called many things in my life. I've been called bitch. I've been called condescending. I've been called diva. I've been called selfish. I have been called many things. Do I let it affect me? Not really, because oftentimes too, not only are they a reflection of what other people see in themselves or what other people have in themselves, they're also things that I need to take with a grain of salt and perhaps work on, right? That's the way I see it, at least. But so, yeah, the thing is that everything changes and nothing is forever, and that's basically the extent of that situation. Let me fix this here. Gotta see. Keep going in and out. So yes, I ended up moving to Kamloops, which a lot of people don't know where that is. It's a place in British Columbia, Canada, and it is like the Arizona of Canada. It's dry, it's desert mountains. Like, I'm literally up in elevation on a mountain. Elevation. High up, just like my class and myself. Ding! Let's actually put a sound effect. More work for me for editing. But yes, and it's been lovely. I love it here. I don't really feel like I want to go back to Toronto to live. I do want to go back to visit. I'd like to see my friends and my family and all that stuff. Speaking of friends and family, so my parents are finally back. My sister is back, my brother, everybody, all that stuff. And so my family came back from Brazil, and they're going to be staying here for like 3 years at least, because they're trying to, make sure to settle in Canada. And that's been a process. And there's been lots of changes, not in just my life, but in other people's lives around me. And again, is what I'm saying, is that always things are changing. Just when you think, oh, I finally got my life and my routine and my things, there's something else that is going to come your way. So yes, and then my mom came here with my family to visit, and they stayed here for almost a month. They came here about I think the 6th, and then they just left on the 27th. My sister stayed here for 2 weeks. My brother stayed here for 2 weeks as well. And then my mom stayed for another 2 weeks. So she stayed a good, I don't know. It was basically 3 weeks for her, I'd say. And I kept begging her and her husband, Gabriel, who you guys know, to stay longer because I didn't want them to leave and I wanted them to stay with me. And I like how my mom, even though she drives me nuts sometimes, she helps me get my shit together in a way. And that's what mothers are for. That's what mothers are for. They drive you nuts, but they have your best intention at the end of the day. And the interesting thing was that we talk about phases in relationships, right? We talk about how nothing is forever. We talked about honeymoon phases and all that stuff like that. And I think in the past I have mentioned before, not sure, who knows. I say so many things in these podcasts, talk so much that I don't even remember half of the stuff that I say. But we have phases, right? Sometimes, like the honeymoon phase, for example, does not last forever. As much as some people would like it to last forever, it doesn't. And I think that there are some people that are just simply not okay with that changing. I know somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, but what they do is they date the person in the honeymoon phase. And then basically, as soon as stuff starts getting too serious, they break up with the person and try to find a new honeymoon phase with someone else. And that is not having to deal with life problems, not having to deal with new changes in relationships and maturity. It takes communication and emotional maturity, mental maturity, like to be able to do these things. And I oftentimes find this a lot in this generation especially, but I do find this a lot more gender-wise, in my opinion, that men have this because women naturally have a sense of maturity when it comes to. I have some hair in my mouth. Dog hairs. That's what happens when you're a dog mom of 3 dogs. We'll get to that too. But I think the women have a sense of maturity in a sense of, not to say that all women are mature, all men are immature. There's just different things that they have maturities in. Women naturally are like caregivers and stuff. Even the women who don't want to be moms and stuff like that, we just naturally are not, we just like physically have responsibility. As soon as women have periods, it's a physical responsibility that now you know that you can get pregnant and things like that. So that just gives you a sense of maturity that whether you believe that it gives you some sort of maturity or not, it does in a sense, because we naturally have these things that go through our bodies and stuff like that, and our hormones that make us want to care for others and find love, regardless of people wanting to be in relationships or not, or regardless of people wanting to be mothers or not and stuff like that. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants to love and be loved. And I have definitely mentioned that before. But so, I don't even know where I was going with this. I just think, oh yes, stages of relationships. That's what I was going with it. Is that nothing is ever the same. And I personally believe that it doesn't mean that it's bad when the honeymoon phase ends. It just means that it's different. And that's the different that scares people because they're not used to, okay, now I'm going to have to actually deal with the person's feelings and emotions. And I'm going to actually have to deal with my emotions and things that come up for me that I am triggered by. And yeah, so I think that even having my mom here for me and my partner's relationship was interesting because I had to see how he was going to be functioning in regards to having to share things and having to be around other people and having to see how he is around my family, which to me is very important in order to have a serious relationship. I want to see how I'm treated in that sense, how he's treating me, how he's treating others, and all of that stuff, all the dynamics in between. So it was very interesting. It wasn't bad. It was good. Obviously. But yeah, it was just different, I'd say. And I think that it was also uh, a different dynamic of having to wake up and not just be with him and I. Now we have to think about what do we feed our parents for breakfast, you know? What what attention should I give my sister or my brother, or should I give them more attention? Should I not? Things like that that you realize is like your routine is kind of thrown off a little bit. And a lot of people have a hard time, I think, with having their routine being thrown off. And that's again, it's different stages of life, you know. You move in with someone, suddenly your routine is thrown off because now you're sharing things. You're sharing things with that person. You're sharing a bathroom. You're sharing a bedroom. Unless you're doing that thing where you guys have your own separate bedrooms. Which, by the way, let me know what you guys think about that, because I think it's interesting. I'm not sure that I like or dislike it. It's like a kind of a neutral territory for me. I'm like, I think that it's good to have your own spaces in your house that are yours, but I'm not so sure about having another bedroom or something like that. Maybe, who knows? I mean, if you think about it, men do have like oftentimes, like when they move into their own house and stuff, they have like a man cave, you know, like maybe like a basement that's theirs or something like that, or like an office or something like that. Like, for example, this office is supposed to be shared with me and my partners, but there's literally none of his things here. They're just my things, and this has become my podcast room. And he usually does his work downstairs. He doesn't really work up here, even though he could. He just, I don't know, hasn't been doing it. And this has been my sanctuary, and I decided to make the podcast sign thing and make a setup, and it's gonna be better, the setup, eventually, but this is like my first time setting up, so cut me some slack. Hopefully it's a little bit good, hopefully it's better than, you know, but the lighting, I'm recording kind of later, and I have this lighting, so it's a whole thing. But yes, so it was interesting. What else is on my list that I have? I always have to look at my key points in order to just remember these things. So let's talk about career for a second. So ever since I basically moved, I've been having a sort of quarter life crisis. I always have these. I've been having these since I was like 16, probably. But I think that everybody does have this, and I don't think it's just me in that sense. But I start thinking about the stages I am in my life, the stages I am in relationships, and sometimes I'm like, I think a part of me, when it comes to like losing certain control over the parts of my life, I end up becoming like, okay, then I'm just gonna let the universe do its thing. But then I start having like, you know, a bunch of thoughts in between. All these chaotic thoughts that eventually just drive me to being like, you know what, let it go. Whatever happens is meant to happen. And it's interesting because, so as you guys know, I am a singer, you know, but I am also many things. I do photography, I do tap dancing, I do painting, I've done murals. What else is I've done? I've done drag. I have done web designing in the past, and now I'm kind of working with my mom, for my mom, in regards to those things. I have an OnlyFans. That's surprising for some people. I have many different outlets of different jobs that I have. And right now is one thing that I've been focusing a lot on, as I've mentioned it in the past too, is sexology and psychology. So I've been studying that a lot, and I have been rebranding my page for my podcast to be merging with these things, so I can have guests to talk about all sorts of different health and sexual related things, but also in regards to kind of getting to know people and opening up more and removing kind of like the structure between like taboo subjects and making it kind of seem like just having a normal conversation with friends. And that's kind of why I decided to make it more like a a chill a chill session here where we're literally just like chilling on my little one sofa thingy majiggy, my seat, and just relaxing and talking to you guys like that, because I want to make it as chill as possible. I don't want to make it very formal and very interviewy. And here on in, we have blah blah blah. Like, yes, I still have interviewed questions, but I try to, you know, keep it to where things will flow naturally. Like the jokes will flow naturally, and the interviewed question, the structure, things that I have behind, all of that stuff. But then what this leaves me here is that I always think about, what am I supposed to be doing? And apparently my mom talks about a lot how a lot of her friends and things like that have mentioned, so what is Laylalu doing? Where's her music? Is she performing? Did she just stop performing? And of course, when I moved here, I did stop performing because it's just more of like a suburby, like small town ish kind of thing. Everything is like a 5 to 10 minute drive away. To walk, it would be chaotic. But yeah, so because of that, I'm still trying to figure out, where to go, and who to go with, and having friends. I don't have any friends here. I have made some friends in my dad's friend's tattoo shop. So basically, long story short, so before we get back into that, because we always jump subjects here, when my dad came here, my mom found a tattoo shop and told him to contact the owner and see if he can start working at this tattoo shop. And then he started working at this tattoo shop, and he started becoming really successful, and they didn't want him to leave, and they became like kind of like a family really quick. So they love me there too. And shout out to Psycho City in Kamloops if you guys are looking to get your tattoos. And my dad is also going to be here in August, so that you guys can get tattooed by him. And if you guys are interested to get tattooed by him in Toronto, I will leave some information down below in the description of the YouTube channel, so you guys can go check that out and then decide for yourself whether you guys want some new tats. By the way, I have a new tattoo here. It's still healing. I'll show you guys next time, because otherwise I'm gonna have to, this doesn't really move that far up. But yes, I'm slowly collecting. I got my half sleeve and another sleeve here, and now soon I'll just get the arms and stuff like that. I'm really gonna be tattooed. I don't really want my neck tattooed. I don't really see myself getting the neck tattooed, but I will get tattooed, like in a lot of places. But yes, so back to the career thing. So since my life has been switching and all of these things, my life has become basically like a housewife, dog mom, having her own house with her partner. And while I envisioned myself to have these things early, I never envisioned myself to have these things so quick like this either, even though I did manifest this for myself in a way. There's so many things that I'm bringing up. I'm like, oh, but what about travel? Am I going to ever be able to travel again? Now I have 3 dogs, and I have to think about that, and I have to think about money, but I also want to, I'm thinking about children, and I want to have kids, and I'm also thinking about my career, and I'm thinking about, should my career come first, and my motherhood come first, and all these things. So there's so many things in different stages where it doesn't mean I'm not doing those things anymore. It just means I'm kind of like taking a break from them, or I'm trying to find in my new routine of how to fit these things in, because in reality, everything is a priority, right? Currently, right now, I'm prioritizing my health. I'm prioritizing my sleep. I sleep like fucking Sleeping Beauty. I sleep like 10 hours a night, probably more. And then I have I have to walk dogs now, and I have to make my partner food and all of these things. And so I have set aside some things, and I set aside a couple of stuff I wanted to do, and some studying and all that stuff, because I do believe that, again, there's no right time for things, but you do prioritize what you want to come first, and where you want to be in life and things like that. And I know a lot of people put aside motherhood for a long time because they want to get financially stable and they want to get this and like that. And I do feel like there will come a time where I'm like super financially stable and I'm gonna have like a lot of income coming in. But I do feel that that part is reserved for me. Me feeling it in particular, like I feel this inside internally that I'm going to be uh more of like, my in my best times when I'm 30. I think 20s is shit. Is shit. Literally. I'm 23. I'm going to be turning 24 basically in 16 days. And yeah, so whenever people ask me about money, whenever people ask me about career, whenever people I get like annoyed. I'm like, I'm a housewife now. That's my job. Which is a job, by the way. We're definitely going to be talking about that sometime because I do feel a lot of people don't value the job of being a mother. Don't value the job of staying home and taking care of the house and cooking and cleaning and all this stuff. In order for everything to be perfect, for the husband coming home, for friends and family coming home, for the dogs and all these things, it doesn't just magically get done. It gets done, and it gets done for free without any complaints, with a smile on our faces, and then people just think these are easy things. It's funny because I do think that when you have to focus on one thing, it is mentally easier on you. When you have to focus on several things at a time, it does become a little bit taxing and challenging and all of these things. So I do see that there are, even though like I'm calm and I'm love and all that stuff, there are stress levels. There are stress levels because of the things that I could be doing more of and things like that. And the way society has implemented even my own brain, even me, that I do believe that this is the way, like, man and woman roles should be. I do believe that still I have this workaholic mindset, this toxic thing that has like makes me feel less than sometimes, you know? And this is why I wanted to bring up these subjects, because I'm like, I know that it's just not me feeling this way. I know that other people feel this way. I posted on Instagram about it, and a shit ton of my female friends, mothers, have messaged me and be like, yep, yep, it's true. That's how it is, And I think that no matter what, my mom says this, I'm not sure, we'll see. But she thinks that there comes a time where when a woman gets pregnant, the focus is all on the woman, because they're like, oh my God, you're pregnant, look how beautiful the baby belly is and all this stuff, and they do everything for her and they take care of the mom and all this stuff. And then as soon as the baby comes out, all the attention goes to the baby. The mother is put aside, and they're like, oh, you need to get back to the gym, you're fat, and all of these things. And then all of a sudden, like, she gets depressed and she's taking care of this kid and she's not looking as perfect, because it's not all the time. I don't think that every woman coming out of literally having a baby ends up doing a full glam. You just, sometimes you don't even have time for that, or sometimes you just don't have the energy for that. I know that some people prioritize these things. If you can, that's great for you, but not everybody can. So there's so many different stages of that. Sometimes, like, and then all of a sudden you have, your hoo-ha that's healing, and you don't want to be as sexually active with your partner because of all your hormones. Or maybe you do want to be, but your hormones are healing and the hoo-ha is healing and all these things, and there's a crying baby and all these stuff. And I'm not saying that that's what's going on in my life, but I'm saying that I see these things. And I can see how even not having a kid and just taking care of 3 dogs and taking care of a house is a lot of work. So imagine implementing all these things, which is why I'm trying to find all of these routines and stuff like that. I'm like, what do I want to do? What do I want in life? And I think that, again, I just need to stop stressing about it, just like you and I are stressing about life, and just literally leave it to the universe to decide. if this is gonna be it, if that's gonna be it. And musically, I rebranded. It's not Laylalu anymore for music, it's Lady Lay. So my rap name was always Lady Lay, but I also found Lady Lay to be classic, and I got Lady Lay from like Bob Dylan and Lana Del Rey. And it just became iconic. Whenever I would perform at different shows or whenever I would go out, everyone, because I would always have like my tagline on my rap songs, like Lady Lay, and everybody started saying that whenever I'd come into the room. So people would be like, Lady Lay. And my name, Laylalu, I love it. It's a beautiful name. But it's really hard to remember, and it's really hard for people to write. And I think that people just search Lady Lay on Spotify and all as places, that it'll be like much easier for them to remember. So I have been doing some rebranding, and I have been slowly doing baby steps into where my money and all these things are going into. Like, where's my time going into, so that my money can also come out. But I still think that I'm still finding that out. You know, I feel like you don't also have to be one thing forever. And this is literally perfect for Gemini season, because like my mind is all over the place, as you guys can see. But yeah, you just don't see these things. Like, it's like, you get it. And yeah, I think I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'm getting money from different places. I'm getting money from different sources of income, like, you know, passive income too. Try my best to keep up with these trends and do all of these things and all of that, while also being happy. And I don't know what my career is going to be in the future. I know that right now I'm a podcaster, I'm a singer, and I'm a sexologist, and that is what I am right now. Also twerker, obviously. That comes with the sexologist as a subcategory. But who knows what I'm going to be in the future? Who knows? Maybe I will not want to do that anymore. Maybe I will go into health. Maybe I'll go into fitness. Maybe I'll just quit all that in general, and I'll finally focus on solely making my music, which, by the way, I have been making my music still, but it's been such a long process, and it just doesn't require only me to do that. Even though I would love to, I simply can't do everything, even though people tell me I can. You know, what can't you do? I guess I can do a lot of things, but I need to focus on just a couple of things at a time. Can't be focusing on so many things at a time. I need to like relax. Water break. So yeah, that's basically what's going on in my life. So after all of these things, I also, what else do I have here? I started back at the gym. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I could like stand up and show you guys. I have no idea. But my knee was really swollen with my arthritis. It was really swollen. In January, I got a flare up. And I know that it was because of past stress from last year and living with like toxic roommates and toxic people, and also just moving in general and starting a new life and getting stressed about what I'm gonna do and money and all these things, and you know, life. And then I ended up just eating what I wanted to eat and eating regular food, and sometimes not so good for you foods. And then I stopped exercising, and then slowly my health just went down. And last year and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that, I kept getting sick so much. I was getting sick all the fucking time. I literally remember I got sick in January, and then I got sick March. Then I got sick again at the end of April and at the end of May, and then it stopped for a while. And then I got sick in October, I got sick in November, and I got sick in December. And that was literally like, I believe like not last year, but the year before that. Last year I still got sick quite a few times as well. But it was like insane, just insane amount that my friends are like, oh my god, why are you keep getting sick and stuff. And I hear that getting sick is good for the immune system. It's like a shock kind of thing. And I do think that when you get sick, you get like your better self. But I don't believe that getting sick all the time is also good. There's something wrong there. There was something wrong, and I think that not just the stress that I had from last year, but everything else kind of like deteriorated from there when it came to my health, and I started to get inflammation back, and the inflammation starts everywhere. So it started from my knee. I started to get really stiff. Then my hands and my elbows, my jaw, my eyes, my ankles. My ankles are always like a little bit better, but usually starts in the knee, and then it works its way up and it works its way down. And so, as you guys know, that's when I started to do the carnivore diet in January. Now it's going to be 5 months of being carnivore. And I am going to get into how that's going in a bit, but I'm going to be talking about now my fitness journey. And I think I've already mentioned to you guys, I'm like, we gotta go to the gym and all this stuff. And even before I rebranded the podcast, we were talking about all these things, talking about health, talking about movement. And my mom, she has this thing called Brazilian body system, where I believe it's like 3 months or something like that. Something like that, 2 months, 3 months, around there. I don't know how long it is, but basically it's like there's like a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then you slowly kind of work your way through your fitness journey. It's like 30 minutes of workouts and 2 hours of yoga per week. It's amazing. So literally you get 30 minutes of workout Monday, and then yoga Tuesday, 30 minutes of workout Wednesday, yoga Thursday, and then Friday workout again. And it's quick. Even when I didn't feel like doing it, I still did it unless I had cramps. And this was back in like 2020. And then in 2021 I did a little bit, but I was in my best like shape, like physically and stuff. I'd say 2020, and I was going hardcore doing that. And when I wasn't doing that, on the weekends I was roller skating, or I was dancing, or walking, or biking, or doing something. And as of recently, so since I've been on the diet, the carnivore diet, for like 5 months or so, I had been doing some exercises, but my body was really in pain. So it was like unable to like physically do anything. So I needed to wait a little bit for the inflammation to go down a tiny bit for me to start implementing different physiotherapy and yoga and all that stuff. So I started slowly doing some things. I also did some workouts with Grow with Joe online, which, by the way, they're awesome. They're awesome. Shout out to her because she's fucking amazing. You guys could check her out on her YouTube channel, and it's just awesome. Like, all of her videos, they're short. She has dance videos. It's very kind of like Zumba-like, but they're really fun. I got my partner to do a couple with me, but he says like they're pretty girly for him. But he still enjoys doing them with me, and he feels better when he gets some movement in, so it was fun. So I was doing that for a bit, and then my mom came to visit, and we started doing a couple of those exercises together. I was like, let's do these, let's do Grocho, and she's like, oh my god, we're like laughing, doing them together. It was so much fun. And then I told my mom, like, you should, train me. And right by my house, the 5-minute away, there's an all-women's gym here. And it's amazing. It's literally like by my house. So I literally just go walk there and come back and I get my workout in. So my mom started to give me a routine, and I started to do workouts. What I love about these workouts is that they're mostly leg-based, but we implement arms, like different parts of the body, and they're all separated from like A, B, and C. So Monday, I think Monday it's most of the like biceps and triceps, and then it's like quads, and then I think there's like glutes on the second day, and a couple of more arms. I think it's like back and shoulders or something like that. And then on C, it's like ankles and calves and stuff. So it's all like separated. But I did it the first week. I was absolutely destroyed. I was like fucked. Like my body was just so stiff. I couldn't even put my arms back. Like it was literally just going like this. Like I couldn't even do any turn. I can't really do because of the microphone here. But like I really couldn't do this. Like my arm was like kind of like really stiff. Now my arm is slowly going all the way back. It's like slowly going. Soon I'm gonna be able to kind of lift again because I wasn't able to lift because my shoulders were like really stiff. And I was starting with low weight, literally like starting with like 3 pounds for my arms because of my arms. It was so weak. Everything was just like so fragile all over again. And then by the end of the first week, I was already lifting higher, much higher, and I was starting to get stronger. And my back was already starting to open up more because I was doing some exercise ball stuff. So in the beginning of the workouts, I do a lot of physiotherapy and things like that. But one thing I wanted to talk about was insecurities I found come up when I was at the gym. And the first day that I was at the gym, and I think it was because it was around my period too, so I was also feeling kind of like, shitty and stuff like that. But I was getting like really self-conscious. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, wow, I'm ugly. And I never get these thoughts, really. I never get these thoughts. But I was looking at that and I was like thinking these things, and I was looking at my body and I was like, oh my god, I'm skinny and like fragile and like just everything didn't really made me like not pleasant with myself and things. And then like looking at you, and you spend so much time at the gym looking at your body because you have to look at your body to make sure you're doing the correct posture. But then like I was like wearing workout clothes that weren't that pretty, and I was like just that's why I like nowadays I do find that when I go to the gym I want to look good when I go to the gym. And I saw a YouTube video by Claudia Walsh. Love her. Guys, check her channel out as well. She does a lot of fitness stuff too, and she's also like, housewife and things like that. But she also mentioned how she does like full face of makeup, like light makeup when she goes to the gym and things like that, because she likes to feel good and look at herself in the mirror, because she's going to be looking at herself all the time when she always feels kind of shitty when she doesn't. And then I thought about that, because I thought about when I came back from the gym, I was like, that's a subject that I want to talk about quite a bit, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that feels that way sometimes too. And especially you look around you and there's so many like hot women at the gym and they have like banging bodies and they're wearing all these like really nice workout clothes and stuff. So one thing I wanted to like start investing in was getting nice workout clothes, and I started to get my best ones and start to wear those to the gym, and just did my eyebrows and put a little bit of lipstick on, and did my hair and made sure that I looked good when I would go to work out, because I want to feel good and look good. It's like my first partner, he had this teacher, this figure skating teacher, that would say like, when you feel good, you look good. When you look good, you feel good. And I think that's true. Because sometimes when I'm having the shittiest day, all I need to do is put on some clothes, put on some makeup, and I will feel better. So yes, and that's basically what's been going on with the fitness and stuff. Like my knees have been getting so much better. My back now stretches just like literally back when I lean on the exercise ball, literally almost touching the floor. Soon maybe my wrist will bend backwards more and I'll be able to kind of do a bridge, which is the whole point of doing that as well. So physiotherapy is going great. My mom gave me this exercise to do on the plyometric box, that box that you kind of step on. So you step up, and then when you're going down, you go down really slowly backwards, and it's supposed to help train for injuries so that you can prevent injuries. And if you fall as well, your body naturally learns how to fall. So it's been really straightening my body, even though that's the exercise I hate the most that she makes me do. It's been helping. And I know usually the stuff that you don't like to do are the things that sometimes you gotta do. And that's another thing with tips in relationships, is that sometimes when people call you out on things and you don't like them, maybe you need to talk about them and work with them, and it's not just things you like to do that you have to do. Suddenly you have to change your routine. Suddenly you have to adapt your lifestyle to being with one person, to being two people, to thinking about the person in those situations. But yes, so before we go out, we're gonna be talking about before we go off, before I go out, the carnivore diet. So I'm gonna be talking about how that has been going with me, and then I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna get changed, go to the gym, and I'm gonna go to the theaters with my love. So let's do that. So, in the beginning of the carnivore diet, I went really strict. Okay, I still, I was mostly eating red meat, and then I started to eat a little bit of bacon too. I hadn't had pork in for like so many years because I love pigs, and for me it was like, oh, no pork, no pork. But I started implementing it when I started the diet because I was like, you know what, I gotta do this. It's high in fat, it's good, and all that stuff. Maybe it'll be good for me. And it did work well, but I think bacon is my thing. Bacon and pork rinds are the two things that sit well with me when I eat like pork chops. They're okay, but I don't necessarily love to eat them so much. Currently I'm trying to have, like, I really want to start this week is to have a steak a day. I usually have so many variety of different foods, but in the beginning specifically, I was very strict for the first 2 months. I was not implementing so many different things that I am now implementing. And that is what I kind of wanted to talk about too, because I think that there's so many carnivores out there that are lovely people. They're all wonderful, they're all wonderful. And I look at them and I'm like, I see all of the strength in these people and see that they're like, okay, and you gotta cut off coffee and you could never have any sweets and never have any fruits and all this stuff. And while I think that that's amazing and that people can get there, I do think it's a little bit unrealistic sometimes to go straight to that. If you've been eating carbs or you were previously keto or whatever you were before, to go from all that to those extremes, it's not everybody that can do that. Once you do it though, it does become easier. It does. And that's the funny thing is, like, it is easy, but it's not easy at the same time. It's the same thing with like mental challenges. It's like anxiety, getting rid of it and having it. It's easy once you get rid of it, once you stopped the thought, but it was hard to get out of the thought in the first place. So, and I think that the diet is like that in a lot of senses as well, is that some people agree with drinking coffee, for example. Let's take that as one of the best examples, I think, prime example. And I see so many carnivores that drink coffee and so many carnivores that say no. And we're actually going to have a carnivore that disagrees with coffee that's going to come on for the podcast soon. So I'm excited to have him on to share that as well. I'm sure it's a question that he gets asked a lot, but I'm still going to ask it anyways. And I have some more things to add on that as well. But his name is Anthony Chafe, and he believes that coffee is just no good, and that a lot of people get stiff when they have coffee, when they drink coffee. And I found that to be true for me. I don't know, I can't speak on other people because other people have different types of bodies. Like, for example, my partner, if he drinks coffee, he feels completely fine, and he's been on the carnivore diet now for over 2 months. So yes, I think it really varies on person to person, but I had cut off coffee and I switched to matcha instead. I do think that a lot of carnivores would disagree on even me having matcha in the first place as well, would probably say that that's no good. But I think that I was already cutting out so many things, that having a little bit of matcha, having my little, stimulant, and having my, my fun would not ruin it completely. Since as well, I didn't find I was having any reactions. In the past, I had cut out coffee and I switched to matcha, and I found that to be better for me and I felt better. So even during the carnivore diet, I also already found that. And the other thing is that carnivore diet is all about process of elimination. It's all about finding what you can and cannot have. And in the beginning. That's why people start with the lion's diet oftentimes too, which is literally just beef, lamb, salt and water, ruminant meats, and salt and water. That's it. And then slowly you can start adding different things into it. But I started on the carnivore, so I still had cheese here and there, had a bunch of things, like, but then I cut out coffee and I saw a carnivore guy that was having chocolate, a little bit of chocolate instead of coffee as a morning stimulant. So I started doing that for a bit. But then here and there, occasionally I started to implement chocolate. It's like, so I find to me that currently at the stage that I am in right now, I'm a little bit more flexible. That's why I started a page. If you guys want to follow me, I call it the Dirty Carnivora. And in that page, the dirty part is talking about how I am strict carnivore, but I still here and there have a piece of chocolate. Not bad chocolate. Usually they're really healthy chocolates. If I'm gonna cheat with chocolate, I'm gonna cheat with good chocolate. So having a little bit of chocolate and having like 1 spoon of peanut butter or almond butter here and there. But what I've been adding into my diet as of recently for the summertime is I wanted to implement berries in the summertime. Organic berries, good berries. So I started implementing blueberries and raspberries and strawberries. Those are basically, I think, the only fruits that I'm going to be implementing. But, and I haven't found any problems with it. And again, it's not an exaggerating amount. It's not like I'm having blueberries every single day. It's not like I'm having them with every meal. I'm having it here and there. I literally had it last week, probably maybe twice last week, and they were probably handfuls only. And I felt fine. And I think that's what we're looking for here is how we're going to be feeling. How we're going to be feeling. If we're feeling good, we shouldn't be feeling guilty about all these things. I do think that we have to watch out for these things. I do feel that plants are no good. They're not the best. I find that with a lot of fruits and a lot of vegetables, they do have research on them. There's a lot of chemicals, there's a lot of salicylates, there's a lot of glyphosate, there's GMO, and nowadays in a lot of countries and in Canada as well, they're no longer, I've heard this recently, even on a TikTok, that they are no longer verifying things in the FDA. So a lot of the food can have so many things in them, can be not organic, and they can be labeled as organic, but because the FDA is no longer going through their system to check that could be problematic in the future. And I think that more and more we're leaning towards seeing that meat is the best option out there. In a lot of people saying that it isn't sustainable, it's ridiculous. Like we have freezers. We have freezers. If we spent $1,000 to butcher 1 cow, it would be that cow would feed 4 to 5 people for an entire year. How is that not sustainable? We're saving food. We're saving the planet. We're saving plants that do not want to be eaten. We're helping our joints and our teeth and everything because we have these for a reason. It's like humans and evolution were made to be carnivore. We're made to eat meat, and we've strayed so far from that. And there's been so many different researches as well as coming to say as well that that the poor people would eat grains and the rich people would eat meat and dairy. And since the beginning of time, to treat autoimmune diseases, we would use red meat. And then only later in time did that change. And so we need to start viewing these things, because it's not the first time that doctors and the system and the government and whatever have been wrong. You know, sometimes I even find myself that sometimes I'm drinking milk and I still feel guilty when I'm drinking milk, because I'm like, what if this is bad for me? And I've been fine, you know? My arthritis, my inflammation has been going down. It's been going down extremely quick than any other diet that I have. My skin, my rosacea, that is supposed to be genetic, that is supposed to be, irreversible, and that is always going to happen, and that a lot of dermatologists and say that it's a forever thing, has been slowly going away. All with literally a diet. And so a lot of people think it's restrictive. A lot of people say that, oh, I'm missing some sweets, I'm missing some things, but that's the beginning. You don't, after a while, even sometimes, like as of recently, one day, this was the cheat that I did one day. So I went to a restaurant where I got meat and sashimi. It was like a Japanese Korean restaurant, and my dad and mom ordered sushi with rice, and they said, just have one, just have one. They're like, it's okay. So I was feeling guilty when I had it, but I ate it, and it just wasn't as appealing as it used to be. I was like, interesting. And so that's the thing for me. It's like, once you start being on this diet, once you start committing to something, it's not that, you can't really afford to go off. You don't feel good. It's like, what, it could be better. And with coffee, as of recently, I have been having coffee for the past 4 to 5 days. Do I want to continue having it? I don't. But until I'm waiting for my matcha order to come in, and I have been having it here and there, and it hasn't been too bad, because I have been drinking a shit ton of water, because I have been upping my electrolytes, and because I have been going to the gym. If I wasn't doing those things, I would not be indulging in a cup of coffee. So this is where I'm telling you guys that are starting carnivore and stuff like that, because I have a lot of friends of mine that have started carnivore because of me, which I'm really happy for, and have messaged me about these things. Oh, how about this sugar? How about this? Or I posted on the Dirty Carnivora that I had raspberries in a smoothie that I made, which was, the smoothie was of beef protein powder, milk, and I added some raspberries. They're like, oh my god, can you have raspberries? And I'm like, again, it's all how you feel. It's all about how you feel. But in the beginning, the first 2 months, I was very strict, and I do suggest that you be that strict as well. To see a result in anything, if you guys are going to the gym, if you guys are eating, if you guys are, whatever you guys are doing, 2 months. You need 2 months to see full results. To start not even seeing full results, just literally start seeing results. And then after, you can start switching and start implementing some things. But yeah, so that's how it's going for me now. My knee is still a little swollen, but it's been going down really, really quick. And ever since I've been exercising, it has changed up the game with the carnivore and all that stuff. I used to exercise, and then I stopped, and then I go back, and then, and that's how it's always been for me. But I really do not want to do that anymore. Now that I know that I'm feeling good, now that I know that everything is flowing and going, we can, get good. And finally, for you guys know, the carnivore fever, the first month or so was a bit like, everything that was bad was just like shit, diarrhea. And now my shits are intact. They don't hurt. They're perfect. Wipe and it's done. And that's just how it is, Life has been good. It's not how I intended to end the podcast, talking about shit, but that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys, all of these things. And yeah, thank you for chatting with me and having a little update, and hopefully you guys will like the next few guests on the podcast in these next upcoming week. Hopefully I'll get my microphone fixed and all of this stuff so I could be better. And the lighting, because now it's like, you know, slowly the sun. I don't know why I did this, but okay. All right, I will see you guys next time.